So, all right, this is happening.
Yay!
This is happening, and I'm gonna have a little sip of tea.
I can feel my eyelashes on my glasses. What happened?
Are you wearing extra long eyelashes, or is this
No.
just all? By the way, I love that lipstick. It's amazing.
Thank you.
I
It's
love
new.
that it matches your dress, and that this podcast is an occasion to wear this lipstick.
Yes.
I
Thank you.
only put makeup on for Zoom calls now. So
in case anyone wants to know what color it is, it's mint green.
that's true. Sorry. My listeners, I apologize. We are recording over Zoom. And so if you want to get a load of Sarah's lipstick, you can see it on our YouTube channel, which I'll talk about later because we are Sarah's presenting it for me now. You can we do record a video feed that we post to YouTube. So if you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Stitcher or any of those things, which I shall post haste get this podcast up on, you'll also be able to watch us on YouTube if you are so inclined to do that. Wow. Welcome to the Adam and Auntie podcast.
Yay!
This is our preview episode. So this is our first episode. Blame it on the quarantine thirst.
Quarantine thirst.
Came up with this nutty idea on our other podcast called the Feminine Mistake Podcast. And we were watching the movie Palm Springs with Andy Samberg. And I've been watching Adam Driver movies basically, since quarantine started. It is my form of self-care.
Yes,
and
indeed.
Those two things collided to create in our heads this idea that we should do a podcast where we watch nothing but Adam Driver and Andy Samberg movies.
It's delightful. Because on the Feminine Mistake, I think Nicole was like, so we should just create a podcast where we watch nothing but Andy Samberg movies. And I was like, and Adam Driver, because I know what a big fan she is, and I'm a big fan too. And she was like, wait, did you just come up with an idea for a new podcast?
I think this podcast might be the greatest thing that's ever happened to me in 2020. In a year of fucking bullshit. I'm so excited. We understand that this podcast is extraordinarily niche. So if you are listening, welcome, and we're excited because we hope you're as big a fan of both Adam Driver and Andy Samberg, or perhaps one of them. Maybe one is your flavor of choice,
and you're only listening to half of our episodes,
and that's okay too. But if you love either one of these actors as much as we do, you've come to the right place. We're going to be watching. It's a biweekly show. So every other week we're going to be releasing 1 week a month. We'll be doing a Andy Samberg movie, and 1 week a month we're going to be doing an Adam Driver movie, and we're going to alternate. And it's going to be at random. You'll see our system for picking the movies later. But at random, we'll be picking a movie and watching. So I'm fucking psyched about this.
Me
I'm
too.
Ridiculously excited about this.
Yes.
So why don't we? So that's what the podcast is, guys. If you've come here for that you're in the right place. We'll be watching those movies, and I wanted to talk a little bit about what we love about these actors. I think this is a good place to start with that. But before that, let's do a little get to know you sesh. Sarah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Sarah Allison Hodges, and I am a writer primarily, and I've made short films.
A director, you mean?
I've directed, yes. And I am creative in certain ways, and
and not creative in other ways. Just kidding. I think you're being a little too modest. So I'm going to step in and edit your bio. Sarah is a wonderful writer. She's writing a collection of essays right now. She writes screenplays. and you have a blog, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't say it, but you're also a fantastic actor. Sarah has
Oh,
been in
right. I
films.
act.
We've done sketch comedy together. We're about to do a web sketch comedy web show that we were going to be it was going to be a big deal, and we were going to film it on locations, and then the pandemic happened, and now we're going to be doing a version of it over Zoom. So
Yeah.
Sarah is a great actor, a very sensitive and detailed director. And we've been, how long have we been working? How long have we known each other now?
2013 we met.
Yeah. So gosh,
that's 7 years this fall.
Holy shit. So we worked together on a lot of stuff, but more than that, Sarah's my BFF. And
BFF?
I don't hesitate to say, I say confidently, soulmate.
Yep.
So we've done several podcasts together. So in addition to this new show, we also do a show called the Feminine Mistake Podcast, which we started with our friend Hillary R. Heath. And we started that in 2016. So if you came over from the Feminine Mistake Podcast, welcome to this fucking madness.
Here we are.
And on the Feminine Mistake Podcast, we watch all kinds of movies and from throughout film history. And we talk about women's roles in films and how women are written and portrayed. And we jokey about it sometimes because you gotta laugh or you'll just cry. So we've done that.
In this one. This one we're going to talk about all men.
It's going to be men. No,
I'm just kidding. I know. I'm just kidding.
But we will be talking about things like legs and hands and
hair.
Yes. Hair. This podcast, warning alert, this podcast is going to get a little thirsty. But it's not just about the thirst. We absolutely love these actors. We think they do really fantastic work, and the thirst part is kind of it's not a bit. We have respect for their work. It's not a bit. We actually genuinely think that these actors are very hot.
Yes, very hot.
But part of what makes them so hot is how talented they are and how much we love their work. We genuinely mean that. That smirk does not seem genuine, Sarah.
No, I love their
There's something about the way you said that, like it was a consolation prize. No. I'm joking. We think that these guys are fantastically talented, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But do know that this is we are women stuck in quarantine, and we have feelings. And those feelings are going to come out during this show, which I hope you'll go along for the ride with us. So we will be talking, anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's circle back. So we did the Feminine Mistake Podcast together. We've done a lot of films and live theater together. And also we did a show for one season called the Georgia Made Podcast, where we watched only films made in Georgia, which was also a very niche podcast. Now that I think maybe that's our thing.
Maybe that's our niche.
So Sarah, anything else you'd like to add to what I just said about you?
I love sloths and hedgehogs. I love Indian food. That's not really important to the show, but I just wanted to let you know.
I think that's important, and I think that it will come up on the show. So
it will come up. Just
expect it.
Fun facts about Sarah. Okay. Thank you for your kind words, Nicole.
Well, I couldn't let you get away with underselling yourself. I don't have a whole lot to say about me. I did say a lot about our podcasting history. We also we are with a group called Critical Crop Top, which is a comedy group that we started, Sarah and I and Hillary, in 2016. And we've done a lot of sketch comedy shows. We've done web series. And then Critical Crop Top Media produces this podcast, as well as the Feminine Mistake Podcast, and as well as the Georgia Made Podcast. So we have a little comedy group, little production company. I am also a writer, director, an actor. I do some voiceover work at times.
Nicole has a fantastic voice, if you can't tell.
I hope you like it. I hope it's not making you want to turn off your device and throw your headphones across the room. No. I do improv. I've been doing a lot of Zoom prov because all the theaters are closed. So I've been doing a lot of Zoom prov or improving over Zoom. And what else? I had something. Oh, I'm an editor. That's like my normal
That's her
job.
thing.
That's my gig.
She teaches.
I do. I teach editing.
Film editing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I teach editing, and it's my thing. So that's a little bit about me. And
yeah, she's a really talented editor and writer and actor, and she can sing, and she's really cute, and she's really funny.
Stop it.
Well, come on.
Is this a thirst podcast about Andy Samberg and Adam Driver, or a thirst podcast about how much we love each other? Because
all of the above.
I'm into both. Okay. So thank you, Sarah. That was very sweet. So that's a little bit about us. Your co-hosts. I think on the Feminine Mistake podcast, we usually have a guest. I don't know if we'll be doing guests so much on this podcast, but certainly I think we might occasion to have a guest at a time or two. So you might find another voice joining us at some point. And if you're one of our friends and you're listening to the show and you are as obsessed with Andy Samberg and Adam Driver as we are, and you want a guest on the show, hey,
you must be this thirsty to enter.
You have to be at the top of your thirst to enter this podcast. You have to be parched. But send us a message if you're like, hey, I'm obsessed, and I would like to be on the show. Send us a message. Okay. I think now's a good time to talk about when these brilliant and wonderful actors first entered our lives.
Okay.
Would you like to go first, Sarah?
Yes. It was a warm summer night. Just kidding.
This is starting to sound like one of my fanfics.
I think Andy Samberg joined SNL in 2005 when I was my spring semester junior year or fall of senior year, and he had the same haircut as the guy I had a crush on, so I was immediately drawn to him. And he was really weird and funny. And I remember thinking he looked weird but also like strangely hot. And I was really intrigued.
It is a brand they both share, I think.
Yeah. So I loved his work on SNL. I was a big fan all throughout that time. And then I looked back to his shorts with the Lonely Island, and then learned that that's how he got on the show. And he brought two of his friends who were also writers for the show, but they just weren't on screen.
Although one of them was on Girls crossover, 6 Degrees, of course. Yorma, I think is his name. He played the icky art guy.
Yes.
What was his name? He had
his name.
The first and last name were reversed. It was like Paul Thomas or Tom. God, what was his? It'll come to me. But he had this really pretentious name that was very funny.
Mason.
No,
Richard.
It was. It'll come to me. All right, you continue. We don't need to grind the podcast to a halt while my cobweb mind tries to recall the name of this character from Girls.
So that was my introduction to him. And then my introduction to Adam Driver was Girls, which started when I was, I think after I was in college. I'm sorry, I just have to look this up real quick because it's going to drive me insane.
I want to say it was like 2012. I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess 2012. And I can tell you exactly how I know that. You go ahead, but I have a reason why I know exactly when it started.
I think I'm the same age as her.
Lena Dunham?
Yeah.
I think she's 34, 32.
She might be a year older.
I think she's somewhere around there.
Let me see. Lena Dunham.
I don't want to flex too hard right now, but I am drinking mint tea from my garden. What?
34. So she is 2 years older than me, but it felt like we were the same age. So I felt like I was part of her generation. I really connected with her. And so I watched that show, and I remember being introduced to this character Adam and just being,
Mhm.
like, horrified because he reminded me of my first boyfriend in certain
Oof.
ways, like,
Yeah.
in the sexual ways.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, there's some intense stuff there. We are,
yeah.
I think, planning to tackle girls at some point. Probably not right away, but yeah, I think we'll circle around to
So
there eventually.
I had an initial ick factor with Adam Driver just
I
because of
think you're
the
supposed to.
character.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, like, as a
Oh,
like,
sure. Yeah.
because of my
Oh, you had an ick
history.
factor to the actor, you're saying?
Yes, because of how he was so good at portraying this character that
Yeah.
reminded me of my ex, and I just wanted nothing to do with him, and I was like, "You can do so much better, Hannah," and
Mm.
but then
Could she,
as
though?
time I don't think so, but as time went
I think
on, I
I think
started
evidence would
to
suggest in the show that she can't.
no,
But
but as time went on, I realized that, oh, he's actually, like, a character. This is not like, I kind of could
mhm. Yeah,
separate,
they
and
he
I
went a little deeper, yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
so I grew to like the actor, and then he was in
Mhm.
more stuff, and I was like, "Oh, he's great."
Mhm.
So,
So when
yep.
would you say the thirst began?
I think during Girls,
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
just because he's so hot.
Oh my god. I could talk about this endlessly, and
Yes.
that's why I have a whole podcast to talk about it. Okay. Yes. All right. So anything else you want to say about them, like why you like them? Why do you want to do a podcast where you just watch movies from these two actors? What
Well,
is wrong with you?
what is wrong with
Us.
me?
What is
Okay,
wrong with
well, what is
us?
wrong with me is, like, I had such crushes on both of them when I
Mm,
first, the first year that I was introduced to them, and I was just like, "These guys are great," and, like,
mhm.
I didn't think, like, I hope one day I have a podcast about them. I mean, who
You
who
didn't,
thinks
because
that?
I did. I'm just kidding. I
But, I just I mean, when you said, like, "Let's do an all, like,
I'm pretty sure
Andy
this was
Samberg
your
podcast."
idea. Like, you're giving me the credit, but I'm pretty sure I was joking. And I was like, I said we were going to change the name of our other podcast to the feminine, or no, the feminine Andy
The
Samberg podcast or something.
Andy
Um,
Mistake podcast, I don't know. Um,
which is a way better name. And then you were like, and let's watch Adam Driver films. And then you messaged me. I just want to say that I was like very serious about it. And in fact, listeners, I'm going to upload the episode of The Feminine Mistake where we talk about Palm Springs, because since we've already done that on another on another show, sadly we won't be doing Palm Springs on this show. I don't think. I mean, certainly if we went on for years doing the show, I think I could see us circling back to it at some
let's
point.
rewatch at 50 years old.
Right, when I'm an old lady and I'm still thirsting after Andy Samberg, perhaps we'll revisit Palm Springs. But in the meantime, we did just record an episode about it, which was the birth of this podcast, because that's where that idea came from. So I will upload that, and you guys will get to hear our thoughts on Palm Springs. Sarah texted me after that recording and was like, "So, Sarah, we're doing this, right?" And I was like, I wanted to, but I was afraid to be serious about it because I thought you would think I was a freak. And the fact that you're texting and validating my feelings means that we're absolutely, absolutely doing this podcast.
Yeah, I surprised myself, actually, but I thought more about it. I was like, "This makes no sense, but I wanna do it so bad."
All right. I'm going to
What are
go into
your
my journey.
experience?
I'm getting into my journey. I'm going to get into my journey. Okay. Where
Okay.
should I start? I'm going to start with Adam Driver.
Okay.
I just need to take a minute to breathe.
Moment of silence for respect.
If you're coming over from the Feminine Mistake podcast, it is no secret that I have an Adam Driver obsession. It is, and it has gotten worse, only worse during quarantine. So I too, Adam Driver came into my life during Girls as well. Now I'm a little older than Sarah. I'm 40 actually. So I'm more than a little older than Sarah. But the reason I know exactly when Girls started was because I was pregnant with my son Lucas. And because I was very pregnant and very tired, I was watching a lot of television, and Girls came out, and I started. Actually, I think I had started Girls when it was almost the first season was almost over, so it was like multiple episodes were up on HBO already. And so I started watching them back to back to back. My husband used to come into the room while I was watching this show and say, and I would tell him, oh, he's like, "Oh, what are you watching?" I'm like, "I'm watching Girls." And he's like, "Oh, do you like it?" And I'm like, "I'm not sure yet," because the characters were so complex in a way that, like, they were unlikable and flawed, and they did horrible things to each other. And I was very uncomfortable a lot of the time, but ultimately I think a really brilliant show. And I know, Lena Dunham's personal uh personality notwithstanding, I stand by the fact that I think Girls is a brilliant show. I think Adam Driver immediately stood out to me as a brilliant actor.
Yeah.
And as I've said in my many discussions about Adam Driver recently on the Feminine Mistake podcast, what makes him so special to me is his ability, and it's very clear in Girls, and not all his work is the same, so he's not always playing this type of character, but frequently he's playing a character who we shouldn't like. Like, by all accounts, on paper, season 1 Adam Sackler, at least up through like the first half of the
Season 1 for sure.
is a fucking nightmare of a person.
Yeah.
Like, he's icky and
He treats her
a little misogynistic.
badly.
Or I don't know. Like, I'm not going to get into it too deeply right now because eventually we will get into that show. But he fucking pees on her, for God's sakes.
Mhm.
And I shouldn't like him. And yet, what Adam Driver brings to a role like Adam Sackler, who eventually Adam Sackler, we saw a lot of vulnerability and his character changed and evolved. And he actually became one of the most sympathetic characters on the show, I think.
Yeah.
Until he got with Jessa, and they just brought the worst out of each other. And I just can't with that right now. But we'll get to that sometime later. But what he does with characters like Adam Sackler or Kylo Ren or even Philip, and this is where I leave you. Like, you take characters who, on paper, I shouldn't like them, and yet because he brings this vulnerability and this intensity and this, I am in awe of his skill as an actor, and it's not like I'm constantly aware of his skill. It's not a mechanical thing that I'm watching. It's like a beautiful painting that you're watching, and then when you leave the museum, you're like, wow, I can't stop thinking about that painting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt that he's beautiful as well. Like, he's beautiful in such an interesting way. And I honestly, even if I'm watching a movie that I don't particularly care for, and he's in it, I'm always gonna enjoy his performance.
For sure. I think you won't like him in Marriage Story, but you'll enjoy his performance. I immensely enjoyed his performance in Marriage Story.
I haven't, full disclosure, I haven't seen Marriage Story. I know as an Adam Driver fan, it's a big hole in my viewing. I'm looking forward to watching it at some point for this show. I feel like, here's the thing. I love Noah Baumbach films. But every time I watch a Noah Baumbach film, it feels like I'm experiencing my parents' divorce all over again. And I just try to avoid that whenever possible. So that's why I haven't watched Marriage Story, because it seems like a horror movie for married people. Frankly.
I mean, it really should be called Divorce Story, but if he had named it Divorce Story, no one would have wanted to see it.
Oh, the Adam Driver stans would have watched it no matter what.
That's true.
We will literally watch him do anything. So that's my whole thing about Adam Driver. Andy Samberg. Okay. I have been aware of Andy Samberg probably since his SNL days. I feel like one thing I could definitely say about Andy Samberg is he is like probably the most gifable human being, the most gifable actor to ever exist. When I need when I need to express an emotion, there is an Andy Samberg gift for that. I love his shorts. And by that I mean the Lonely Island shorts, but also the shorts that he wears in Palm Springs. Check out that episode. You'll hear all about what I think of those shorts. I would say, as far as his skill, here's what I love about Andy Samberg. I think that, again, the thing that connects these two actors who have never been in a movie together, although if they ever are, I feel like we should be able to take credit for that, right?
Oh yeah.
I think, again, with Andy Samberg, it's the vulnerability. Like, he's a comedian. Not that Adam Driver isn't very funny, and we'll get into his SNL appearances, I think, at some point. But Andy Samberg is a comedian, and so he's doing a lot of more broad comedy, and than in the roles that Adam Driver is typically doing. But he always does it with a vulnerability. Like, there's something about him that is very lovable. And I'm not as familiar with his film work, as I am with Adam Driver's film work. I primarily became a fan of him through Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is a show I absolutely love. And I love the character Jake Peralta is just a fucking delight. I mean, everyone on that show is a delight. That show is so wonderful. And we will get into that show on here as well at some point. But I think that Brooklyn Nine-Nine is when I first really began to notice Andy Samberg as a fellow comedian and as a woman.
Okay.
But then, honestly, Palm Springs is really what set off the sex appeal alarms in my head.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, him in that bed in those shorts.
He is. I'll say it again. I said it on the Feminine Mistake podcast. I found him to be low-key hot in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Palm Springs achieved full hotness.
Full hotness, yes.
Full hotness. Okay. If you would like to listen to two women sit around and just talk about these guys for an hour. Expect more of the same. Of course, we will be getting into the movies as well. So as we talk about the films, if you have listened to our show, The Feminine Mistake, if you haven't, that's fine. But we typically go through and list a couple of the highlights of the film. So we'll talk about that. We are filmmakers. We're writers and actors as well. So we have an interest in story and how stories are told. And so I think there'll probably be a little bit of that and a lot of worshiping going on.
Yes.
Whole lot of worshiping. So come for the Thursday for the worshiping. Okay. Wow. Anything else to add to that, Sarah? Anything I didn't cover?
I don't think so. I think that's pretty good.
So, all right. So that's what you can expect from the show, is us going through each of these actors' catalogs, drawing conclusions about their work, talking about their depth and skill as actors, some jokes. There'll certainly be a lot of jokes. And so that's what you've got in store for you. And also, we've got a couple of fun segments planned. I hope you can't hear my children screaming at the top of their lungs, but as I am recording from my home,
I can hear them
during quarantine, this is something that you will likely hear from time to time. I have 3 kids. I guess I didn't mention that in my intro, but I am a mother of 3 riotous children.
3 tornadoes.
It's true. I am the mother to 3 beautiful tornadoes.
Beautiful.
So let's go to one of our segments that we'll be doing. We're going to be doing a trivia segment called each episode called Adam or Andy.
As you would imagine, I'm normally up for pretty much anything in the bedroom, but I can't tell if what happened was weird or sexy.
Sarah, tell us about what this segment is all about.
Well, this segment is about. So I will prepare a. So what I did actually is I prepared 3 facts, and I want you to guess which one is Andy, which one is Adam, and which one is not true.
Oh, is a made up. So we got an Adam and Andy and a lie.
Yes, which we can still call it Adam or Andy.
That's true. We can't. You're going to be hard pressed to stump me for a fact about Adam Driver, so I'm interested to see how this goes.
Right.
Lay him on me.
All right. In elementary school, he played Daddy Warbucks when he was in 3rd grade in the production of Annie alongside Chelsea Peretti.
Oh, I already know who this is. It's Andy Samberg, because Chelsea Peretti and Andy Samberg were, I believe, as he says it, they weren't best friends, but they were in the same social circle. They grew up in the same town.
This was news to me.
They went to the same school together.
Okay, so now you have 2 chances to figure out who is.
I got one down.
In middle school, he and his best friend made a short dramedy film called Wormholes, in which he and his friend time travel. It was not well received by his classmates, but he stands by it as some of the work he's proudest of. Or, as a teen, he climbed radio towers, set objects on fire, and started a fight club with his friends inspired by the film Fight Club.
Fuck. That... You know what? I'm going to say that the third one is a lie.
Which one? The Fight Club?
I'm going to say the Fight Club is a lie, and that the second one is Adam Driver.
He's the one who started the Fight Club. Yes.
Stop it!
Yes.
I thought, wow. Where did you get the second one from?
That's me. That was me.
Stop it.
No.
Sarah,
with
you
my best friend.
Me so hard. And you still think, wow. You got me. I came in here with the bravado, and you just knocked me down like 3 pegs. I deserve that.
That was good. That
was fun. I'm looking forward to that segment.
I have actually another fun fact that you don't have to guess, but they have this in common. So in 2013, Adam Driver married Joanne Tucker, and in 2013, Andy Samberg married Joanna Newsom. So they both married people named Joanna in 2013. Which, when I found that, I was like,
"What? That is very strange." I did know about Adam Driver's wife, our queen, as we shall refer to her, Joanne Tucker. They went to school together at fucking New York, big school in New York. Oh my God, mine is so old. You guys, help me out. What is the fucking acting school that everybody wants to go to?
Tisch.
Yes, was it
Tisch? Yes.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, they met going to school there, and they've been married for a long time. Since 2013, apparently.
Yep.
Wow, that was super fun. I hope we find other little weird moments of serendipity as we uncover these trivia facts.
Oh, you look awesome. Come the fuck upstairs.
Okay.
But wait, I have to warn you about something.
What?
If you come up here, I'm going to tie you to my bed and keep you for at least 3 days. I'm just in that kind of mood.
Okay, so this brings us to our next segment, which I'm very excited about. So in order to decide which movie we're going to watch every month, guys, we are going to spin a wheel. So we're going to spin a wheel that has... So this episode, we're actually going to spin it twice. Once to determine whether we'll be watching an Andy Samberg movie first or an Adam Driver movie first. Excuse me. From there on, we will be alternating. So if we do Andy first, it'll be Adam second, and so on and so forth. And then we'll be spinning a wheel to determine of that actor's work. I think we're going to put 6 movies on the list, or 6 items on the list per spin, and as we take things off, we'll add new things. So if you're watching the YouTube vidcast, I'm going to share the screen. So we'll see how this goes, but I'm going to try to share the screen so you can see the wheel. if you don't see something on there that you're interested in, like eventually we're going to do Brooklyn Nine-Nine, we're going to do Girls, we're going to do Adam Driver's SNL work, we're going to do Andy Samberg's Lonely Island shorts. We're going to do these. They may not be on the list right now, but we will rotate that list out. So right now, let me just set up this wheel real quick, and then I'll share the screen. Let's see here. So let's do Andy Samberg, Adam Driver. Okay. All right. So let's see if this will work. I just have a random wheel. So I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. All right. Can you see the wheel, Sarah?
Yes.
All right. Let's spin the wheel. Who's it going to be? Here we go. Ooh, and it's going to be Andy Samberg is going to be our first. So that means we will be watching an Andy Samberg movie first, followed by an Adam Driver movie. Like I said, these podcasts are coming out every other week. So we'll do Andy. That joke's never going to get old. We'll do Andy. Hee hee. That's what she said. Then there'll be a week off, and then we'll do Adam Driver. So let me just copy paste some Andy Samberg movies, and we'll see which one are we gonna watch first. Update that list. Okay. All right. Sarah, are you ready to spin this wheel?
Yes.
All right, let's spin it. All right, here we go. Which one is it gonna be? Oh God, this is the one that I was dreading. Okay, we're off with a bang. The first movie we're gonna be watching. Let me just stop the screen share here. The first movie we're gonna be watching is That's My Boy, which I shit you not, I've been joking with Sarah, is the one I was kind of dreading. I've never seen this movie. Actually, let me just pull up the IMDb real quick. For those of you guys who don't know what this movie is, and if you are a Andy Samberg fan, maybe you've seen it. All right, let's see here. I guess I could just type in That's My Boy. That would probably be a lot more efficient. There we go. 2012. That's My Boy. This is Adam Sandler and Andy Samberg. So ironically, it's an Adam and Andy, but a different Adam. Adam. Boy, it feels like this was meant to be. Okay, so the synopsis is, while in his teens, Donnie, I assume played by Adam Sandler, fathered a son, Todd, played by Andy Samberg, and raised him as a single parent until Todd's 18th birthday. Now Donnie resurfaces just before Todd's wedding after years apart, sending the groom-to-be's world crashing down. Okay, so that's the synopsis.
I'm intrigued.
You know what? I get to watch an Andy Samberg movie, so
exactly.
It's going to be fucking great. I'm excited. I'm excited to die. Like I said, I have not seen as many. Honestly, I've seen Lonely Island shorts. I've seen Palm Springs. I've seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So I'm not familiar with a lot of his films. So I'm ready. I'm ready to strap in for this ride. I'm on this roller coaster, and we're at the top, and I am ready.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm just listening for someone in the background. I thought my mom was about to come in.
Oh, is your mom going to join us? Is she going to be our first guest on the show? What does she think of Andy Samberg and Adam Driver?
I think she thinks they're good. They're talented. I mean, she's beyond her thirst days.
No one's beyond their thirst days, Sarah. Come on now. Okay. Well, let's see. I think that is going to do us for this episode. Before we leave you, a couple things to plug. I just before this recording started created an Instagram account. I'm sure we will have a Twitter and all those things. But since we have just literally just recorded this episode. We don't quite have all the social medias up yet, but I did create an Instagram account. So you can follow us on Adam and Andy, and that's and written out. So Adam and Andy podcast. We've already got our first follower, Ava Davis, who somehow found us immediately because she is amazing. So follow us on Instagram. I'm sure we'll have Twitter and all that shit set up soon. And also, if you are if you like listening to us and you want more of our voices in your ears, you can find some of our other shows, the Feminine Mistake podcast, which is on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify and Podbean, and the Georgia Made podcast, which is also on all of those things. And like I said, we are just recording this episode. It's so fucking fresh, you guys. I haven't put it on
so fucking fresh.
But I assure you, if it's not already up there, the podcast will be on it'll be on Apple Podcasts, it'll be on Stitcher, it'll be on Spotify, so find us there. Also, if you are interested in any of our other work, you can follow Critical Crop Top on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Critical Crop Top. We have a YouTube channel, which is where we'll be posting this vidcast. So if you want to see the YouTube vidcast of this podcast, go to YouTube, look for Critical Crop Top, and you will find us there. I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. And I'm out of tea, so that works out nicely. I guess we'll have to go. We're gonna have to go watch That's My Boy.
That's My Boy. Let's do it right now.
I'm ready. Are you ready?